Can you tell me about the day of the offence?
Yes, I can. It was just a normal day in a charity shop. We're a little different charity shop, so although we raise money for a food bank and local projects, we also probably give away as much as we sell. People in need come in, they can be homeless, they can just be living in poverty or just having a bad time of things. We've got a food bank outside the back of the actual charity shop, and people can come in have a hot drink, they can have something to eat, they can pick nappies up or sanitary products. And we'd had a referral from social services. It was a really vulnerable family that had been made homeless. We were making a food parcel up for them, so they were in a hotel, so very limited funds and very limited cooking. So making a food parcel up, and they had children. So we were also out back looking for some toys and games and pencils and crayons and a jigsaw just for the children to do. And it was actually myself and a colleague, we walked into the shop area waiting for this family to come. And my colleague noticed a light was on in the warehouse, and he was like, oh, that's a bit odd, because they're triggered by people. So we went into the warehouse and just thought it was one of those things, just an odd thing. We didn't put two and two together, so we actually didn't know at the time of the offence that it had happened. And then the next morning I was on the till and noticed the charity box had gone. We've got a really good camera system because we do have a problem with shoplifting. I think we've got like 28 cameras in now, and we went back on the camera, and then that's when we realised actually we'd had a theft. It wasn't just the charity box, it was clothing, it was a bag, it was, Shoplifting's an issue for us. We normally see it. It's normally like evident immediately. I think we felt a bit more vulnerable because it had happened without us knowing. It had happened when the shop was closed. It was frustrating. I think we took it was a bad time. We'd had a bad week. We'd had like a TV stolen. We'd had a laptop stolen, and we were just like really sad. But I think it was because what we were doing, lots of things came together. It's like a jigsaw, that we were doing something that we felt was really worthwhile. The shop was closed, so actually we were quite vulnerable there on our own. It wasn't a violent crime, but it could have been. Just sad, just frustrated. I think sadness more than anything. So my feeling was I was just sad, but a lot of the volunteers at the charity shop have disabilities or they have their own vulnerabilities. So it ranged from absolute anger, absolute how dare this person come into somewhere that's trying to do good, how dare he. Disbelief, we had disbelief because actually if the gentleman had come in and said I need socks, we'd give him socks. I need a coat, we'd give him that coat. We'd have given him actually probably everything that he stole from us. We'd probably even gone in and give him a £5 to go to McDonald's and grab something warm. So it was there was like a whole mix of feelings from different people within the charity. But I think disbelief really that someone would take a charity box meant for really vulnerable people. It was a decision, not just my decision, it was volunteers' decision. I think I had to go along with what most people wanted. My personal reason I did, we had a volunteer that had gone through the justice system, and I remember having a conversation with him a few months prior, and one of his biggest regrets in life, and that was a violent crime, but one of his biggest regrets in life was that the victim hadn't taken him up on restorative justice, and he turned his life around and he wanted to show his remorse, and I saw him as a person, as an equal, as a colleague, a volunteer, and I realised that sometimes it's not the person, it's the circumstance, and as I say, it might be a habit, it's not the individual, and I wanted to explore that more, so that's why I wanted to go along with it. For some of the volunteers, it was so they could be angry, so they could say, this is what I feel, and they wanted to have that voice to say to him, this is what you've done, and this is who you've taken that from. Initially at the beginning, we had people voicing their opinion. It's just to tick the box. One of the things was it's going to benefit him. He's doing this because it's going to benefit him. But actually the whole court system, the process had finished, so it was in no way of a benefit for him. And I think once that had been explained to us, because he didn't get a custodial sentence or anything, so it wouldn't have impacted on early release or anything. Once that was explained to us, I think the process was easier. It was an interesting process. So we got a lot of clarity. We realised through the process that we wasn't an intended victim, that it was just circumstantial. He happened to be there, the door happened to be open, the money happened to be there, and he happened to be in that situation. So we realised quite early on that we were not targeted, and that was quite important for the vulnerabilities that we all have. We managed to write a letter to him, and we actually managed to get a letter from him, and the letter from him we felt was genuine. It was a genuine letter, and there was genuine remorse there. So I didn't realise that I did most of it for the charity. I did it most for the volunteers, that process. I didn't realise that I had a weight on my shoulder until the process had finished. And then when the process had finished, I thought, you know what, I feel a lot better about this. I feel a lot calmer. And actually, since this process, we've been victims again from other individuals. But we look deeper into it. We don't just see it as, oh, someone's come in and stole from us or stole from the charity. We're looking at their circumstances, and just, it's a difficult one, really. Yes, we've still got a little frustration, but we can understand why he did it. And actually, he lives in our community, and we don't feel that we don't feel there's any awkwardness. You know, if he walked past the charity shop, or if he ever came in to ask for help, we feel that awkwardness is gone. We can say, hello, how are you? And he can come and ask us for a food bank parcel if he needs it. And he has to be part of that community to move on. Certainly I'd like to add that the local press picked up on this crime, and he himself became a victim because he had so much online hatred. He had his door graffitied, he had abuse in the streets, and we didn't want that. It was not something that we wanted. So it's helped us to process that a little bit, and actually I hope it's helped him, this process. I would recommend it because in my past I've been a victim of many things. I've been a victim of violence, I've been a victim of different abuses, and in hindsight I wish I'd have had this process now as an adult to have asked the questions. I might not have got the answers, but this has allowed us to be a victim. It said, you know what, you're a victim of this crime, what would you like to do? And in a way that empowered us to say, well, you know what, we are, and someone's acknowledged that, because sometimes, in this case, the police are incredible with us. They're incredibly kind, and they did their job very well. But then it went to court, and that was it. It was just a letter. No one actually said, you know, this has happened, and it's gone through the courts, and you're victims. But we can do something about this. You can ask these questions, and we were never given the opportunity to do that. So it's very difficult, because I can understand people maybe not wanting to do it because they think it helps the offender, but actually it could help the victims, and in our case it definitely has. So I'd completely recommend it, and you can stop the process wherever. You know, if it gets too uncomfortable, there's lots of times that, you know, you came to us and said, like, how are you feeling about this? So it's not a tick the box process at all. You made it human. You humanised it, and that was appreciated.